You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
And welcome back to Hi Lazaretto. You're here with your hosts. I'm the gentleman.
And I'm Papa Smoke, back at it again.
And it's we've had a little bit of a break since the last podcast. We've it's been a couple of days. We actually had
we've just been enjoying the weekend, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
Enjoying myself a bit. It's been nice weather, a couple of days.
It has, yeah. We were saying the best thing that we've done is spend time in the backyard
Just
with that sun.
In the sun, just lying there, enjoying it.
Yeah, and we're now considering whether or not having 2 weeks off in the summer might be an annual holiday that should be deserved.
I mean, that would be beautiful, wouldn't it, really? I mean, that's the dream.
Yeah, that's the dream. Obviously without the pandemic, but, you know, if you
Yes, I mean, if we could just have this little bit of time in the summer, I would like to be able to still go out and enjoy it. Sure.
So I've, last few days, been really excited to ask you about the 3 films. So that's the one bit I've been dying to ask you all the time. But, of course, we're going to talk about the last film we watched, which was An American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Would you say it was a horror?
Well, it's classed as a comedy horror. That's what the genre is.
See, yeah. Do you know any other comedy horrors that are quite well received?
Well received. You could Shaun of the Dead, you could say.
That is very true. I'd probably go as far as to say that's one of the best comedy horrors.
Yeah, I would say
out there. 100%,
it's got to be.
Yeah. Horror is a strange thing to me because when I think of horror films, I always kind of think I have this kind of opinion that a lot of horror films are quite lazy with the way they're trying to be horrifying, and therefore most horror films you watch, you kind of instantly forget about them. And that's because of the whole jump scare thing. So
the fact that they're just trying to be scary for just a scare, basically. They just make a loud noise, crash.
You could
something
get
flies out of the darkness at you. It's the same kind of thing every time, but it gets you every time.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that go to the cinema and won't want to watch a horror, not because I'm scared of it, it's because I'm not this kind of person that gets annoyed when he gets scared. And you've probably witnessed it, I don't like getting scared, that it makes us angry, and that's why a horror film is cinema with the loudspeakers, and I generally feel that horror films, if they want to be true greats, if they want to be the best horror films, it should be in a sense that you could watch something, what the visuals were, without any sound, without any music, and go, fuck, that's creepy.
They're the best kind of horrors, I think. The ones that build the suspense. It's not in your face necessarily, just trying to scare you every moment. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's more disturbing than it is. It's better when it's a bit more disturbing than it is horrifying in a way. Yeah. I feel like the Europeans, they do horror very well. The French and Spanish do good horrors because they more than just trying to scare you with a horrific jump. Mm-hmm. It's a more mindful horror. It's it plays on your mind, disturbs the mind more than it does just scares the body. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think that's the best.
That's the best
way
kind
to
of
describe
horror.
it. Yeah, you want to watch a horror film that disturbs the mind. That it's not that it just scares the body, because the amount of horror films that do the boosh, every horror film that does that, you get the same amount of intensity and fear of someone walking,
just running past you, going bang,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And so it's kind of just car crash horror, to be honest. That's all it is. But good horrors. So I don't think there's a lot of them. Is there any horrors you think that you've always loved? Is there any big ones in your mind?
Well, when I was saying about European cinema, the French have a really good horror called Martyrs.
Oh yes, you were saying, weren't you?
Yeah, that's a very good horror film. It's disturbing. Very disturbing, and the message to it's quite weird. The twist at the end on it, is good.
I do think Europeans do the best horror films. One of the best horror films I've seen was Goodnight Mommy. Do you remember? I don't know if you ever saw the trailer for that. And it was, I think again, it was a French film.
Oh, the one with the bandages.
Yeah, she's had cosmetic
Yeah, that's
surgery.
A good horror. That is a good horror.
Yeah,
I watched that. That was
really
a very good horror.
There's a lot of horrors that I don't like. But some of my guilty pleasure horrors actually is a lot of the older horrors.
Well, to be fair, I am a fan of the horror genre. I do like a horror. I am just a fan of watching horrors. I mean, not so necessarily the very shit ones, because there's so many B-list horrors that are just terrible.
It is horror is usually a very first stepping stone for a lot of filmmakers, and I can see why. It's very interesting. It gives you the suspension of disbelief where you can actually kind of really play with reality in it.
Yeah.
It's a lot more interesting than perhaps a kitchen sink drama. Personally, it's not for me. I have tried to dabble in something like that in a short film, and I think again, just gravitating towards the more disturbing than the jump scaring. But yeah, I think some of my favourite films are definitely the more like kind of out there ones. A guilty pleasure of mine, of course, are all the slasher ones, so Halloween, Freddy Krueger,
like Jason stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of them. The 90s horrors.
Yeah, like 80s,
Elm
90s.
Street stuff like that. I love that.
Yeah, they're really good. I would like to watch more of an older, so the Night of the Living Dead, which I know is actually in the book as well. That is, I'm sure it's Night of the Living Dead, or something is in this 100. The top 100 most influential films of all time. And there is a horror film in there. We'll have a look at some point. But yeah, it was going back on American Werewolf in London. It was, I'm going to say, interesting at best. So anyone that doesn't know, it was filmed in 1981. The director is John Landis. Now, this was one of his very first films. Well, the film beforehand that gave him kind of the accreditation to do quite a big film project, which is this. He had done the original Blues Brothers.
Oh, yes.
I haven't seen it.
I very much enjoy that film.
Yeah, 100%. That's a pretty cool film. He then did that, and since then he's done a lot, but nothing of note. But then the last film that he ended up doing was Burke and Hare, which was a Simon Pegg and Nick Frost film, and it wasn't the best, Matt might have said. I think that was the last film he directed, and that was in 2012, I think it was. So yeah, he doesn't have a lot of accreditation to, which I think you can tell.
Yeah.
When watching the film, but the film is why is it influential?
Well, when I was pulling up sources of why, it was obviously what it read in this book they accredited, and I've done a little bit of research. It was actually the guy who did like the prosthetics, the makeup, a guy named Rick Baker.
Yeah.
He'd worked. He gone on to do quite a lot of things. We went to do Planet of the Apes, Men in Black.
Which Planet of the Apes is that? Is that the
original? Not the 2001 Planet of the Apes.
So the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
That's
and
fair. That's quite a monumental task.
He actually went on to do later. He seems to have. He sticks to like quite a, like always making monsters of such.
Yeah.
Or like at least like animals, because he went on to do the Wolfman as well. Like the 2010, I think, with Anthony Hopkins and.
Yeah. He won awards for that though, didn't he?
Yeah, he actually got an Oscar for that.
He is actually, as far as I'm aware, in the kind of makeup world, he's quite a big heavy hitter. He's done a lot of big Hollywood films in the makeup department. My personal favourite of his is The Grinch. He did the Grinch costume.
He did do The Grinch as well.
Yeah, with Jim Carrey, and I remember watching...
Very still like beast-like. It's like he seems to get that whole hairy, like long-limbed... Even in this American Werewolf film, there's a scene where he first transforms into like the lichen.
Yeah.
And it's apparently the director enjoyed his prosthetics that much that they like spent a long time on the scene of him transforming. They were just going to make it quick at first, but it's actually quite a lengthy, painful kind of transforming like into the lycanthrope, and it's quite horrific, really.
Yeah, I mean, that scene alone in the film, you can very quickly see how it's influential. It's a massive, massive film, in regards to being the first to really pull that off, because obviously it very much relies on the classic special effects as in makeup, but, it to me, that feels so much better than computer animated, right? The CG side of things. A lot of films for me, I've always, films definitely need CG in certain elements to it, especially when you're looking at certain sci-fis and stuff like that. But for the most part, I prefer a film to have, physical effects as opposed to computer ones. The likes of Inception. That had a lot of, the corridor when they have the scene.
Yes.
The scene. That corridor was actually built, and it turned. Like It was a physical structure, like a physical structure that they filmed in. The camera was filmed at one end, and obviously the cast would have harnesses and stuff, but they would actually fight inside this massive cylinder.
Well, I think you can really tell when they put the effort into making stuff like real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You appreciate the cinema a lot more, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's obviously amazing CGI what it's done for the industry and stuff like that, the film
Yeah.
industry. It's done amazing things, and you can, like, accredit then people who haven't got the budget maybe can then create a film. Great.
That's
Still
it.
a great film on, like,
Yeah.
a CGI, but when you've put a lot of money into the set design and the props and the costume, it just gives that extra feel to it.
I mean, in many ways, as a filmmaker as well, it kind of helps you understand what you've got when it's there. Whereas you look at the film Cats that came out, is that everyone would have finished shooting that set like on a high going, this is going to look class. And the CG didn't work out for various reasons, but it didn't work out, and it obviously had a lesser impact. Whereas if you had a physical effect on set, at least you'd be able to see in camera there and then that it's not working.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's you can actually make a shot like better there and then because it's physical.
Yeah.
Rather than going into post production and waiting on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stuff might get overlooked and.
Yeah, I mean Chris Nolan's really big for that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of his stuff are all physical. Very little. You know, the film Dunkirk has no computer animated graphics in, which is ridiculous when you watch it because you've got thousands and thousands of men.
That is.
You've got actual boats and actual planes. Like, they're all physically real, and it's just...
Well, that's impressive. That it is a great looking film, isn't it?
It is,
you can credit to that.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, moving on to American Werewolf in London, that scene to me is really good. You know, the transformation was fantastic. I kind of feel, you know, one bit I did really like was the London Underground scene. You know, when he's being, the general pedestrians being chased down by him. And then when you eventually see him, it's like you're at the top of the escalators looking down, so he's so far away. And there's something about being that far away from it and seeing it that makes it feel real. Almost as if you are at the top of those escalators and you just look down
and just seen a man get sandwiched up like that. Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Those two bits are good. But the film has a fair share of problems. Yeah, it was a bit corny, I felt, in some aspects. Yeah. I know it's trying to be a comedy horror, but it wasn't really that funny. It was just... But it's because it's poorly paced, the film, I found. How the pacing worked with the police constable and his lieutenant. Like, I don't understand what purpose they had in the film, but the two police officers that come in, and there's maybe these comedic moments... funny things are being said, but they just don't fall funny because they taste terribly. The geography, firstly you can tell this film's been directed by an American, because firstly the geography's absolutely warped, because isn't he in the north of England when he gets attacked by a werewolf, but then he wakes up in a hospital in London? Yeah. Like, that's not how that would happen. Not in the slightest. Not back in when it was filmed as well. I know. No way. There's a lot more hospitals back then. I mean, Shields Hospital was still, massive and fully functioning in that time. And the geography's way off. I find that a lot of the way people react to things in the film are what an American person thinks English people are like. So, with the guy in the underground, he's going, I shall report this. English people don't go on like that. Nah, you'd be like, if there's a werewolf, there'd be people going, mate, let's do him or something. Whoa, mate, are you seeing that dog? Fucking hell. Yeah, that dog's got a pure rage. Just whopping a fucking werewolf down chime and everyone. Perfect. But yeah, I mean, look, it's obviously done a big thing. Like, I would love, if I ever take on a project that required heavy effects, I would certainly, do more research and look into how this guy's done it, because, what he's done is amazing. So, he's a very good source of knowledge for filmmakers, I think. But as a film in general, for the audience to enjoy, it's aged terribly. It has aged terribly. Yeah. I think... but it's not the effects, it's just... When I watched it, I'm not going to lie, I think I was quite young. I hadn't watched it since, and then we watched it again. Did you find it scary as a kid? See, I don't know if I found it scary. I think I found it interesting as a kid, but then it's not that. Because all it is some
interesting
guy.
anymore. It's just some guy that got attacked by his mate. I don't really like the whole. Like, he's stalked by the ghost of his dead friend, but it's like comical. Like, they could have made it better as in he was haunted by it, but it's like every time he shows up he's more decomposed and his eyes falling out and he's making jokes about it, and it just plays off like a thing that could have been quite disturbing and good. It just plays it into tries to be funny but then serves no purpose because it isn't funny.
Yeah, it doesn't know what it wants to be.
It could just be, it would be in a better actual try to be in scary horror of the time.
Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of horror to what we're used to now. So in that regards, I give it respect. But I guess, I mean, what would you score it out of 10?
5.
Yeah, I was gonna say
maybe 4.5.
4.5. I would say 4. So we're saying 4.5.
Yeah.
And look, we're not slating the film. It's just definitely of all the films we've watched so far, it's the poorest one. It's not one that I would want to watch again.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I've finally seen it. Which is strange because there's so many people. Whenever you get mentioned in American Werewolf London, there's always that one person that's like, "Oh mate, that's a cracking film." That like, and I've always heard that growing up, and now I don't understand the hype. And do you think it's because people have watched it when they're kids, and it's still kind of basically if you have watched the film when you were younger, I probably wouldn't recommend watching it now. It's probably going to ruin it for you a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it's... If you've watched it at its time, you'd have probably appreciated it more, but now that there's more serious horrors, scarier horrors...
Yeah.
Like, the 2010 Wolfman, that is a lot better watch, because that takes it a bit more serious.
Yeah. Is it the same story, or is it...
It is the same story. I mean, to an extent, it's, like, set in England... But like not in London. Well, actually, it does go to London.
Yeah.
It follows the story to the fact that it's an American comes to England, but it's like he's got family ties there.
Yeah.
Gets bit by a werewolf, ends up going to London.
And then doing the whole...
It's not like the whole he just travels there.
Yeah.
It's like set back in like say in like a Victorian time as well. It's not set in like a...
So more of the time in which it was made, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, one last thing, point about the film for myself, and it's kind of linked into when we were talking about the Blade Runner film before. I felt that the relationship between the main character and the nurse was kind of weird. It was a bit like...
Yeah, I think that was American as well, because they were like putting credit on that he kind of swanned over and she like fell head over heels for him.
Yeah,
just because he was acting like a daft American twat. Like literally she loves him from the first scene, like dressing his wounds and his nurse, like stereotypical short tiny skirt on, like dabbing his head.
Yeah, no nurse dresses like that for a start.
No luxurious nurse is sitting on your lap like patting your head going, "Can I get you anything else?"
Yeah, it's just basically my advice to any Americans that come and visit England. Don't be too American.
Yeah.
The British don't take it very well.
Check your ass.
And yeah, once again, it's another film that is older, like, before our time, that still has this very warped sense of, like, the representation of a woman in a film. I felt like that character was simply designed there to be a love interest. There was no meat behind it, and so that for me is its biggest downfall, let alone many others. But moving on, your 3 films for me to choose. I've been dying to ask you for quite some time now.
Shall I reveal all?
Yes, please. I'm so excited.
Well, at first I was thinking we could watch Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. Keeping back up with the Spielberg, as we know.
Yeah.
I have said that we did say Jurassic Park was one of his best films, so I'm, definitely feeling it.
Goodfellas.
Ooh, okay.
I like Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see why it was influential. Obviously, it's a great film. It's a great monster film. I know why it's like a classic. Influential. Yeah, influential to cinema. I'm interested to know why. And then
I've recently watched The Irishman, so I would like to go back and watch Goodfellas in a way to kind of see that
influence.
Yeah.
And lastly, we've got Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. I thought I'd just leave a little sugar on the end there for you.
Why did you pick the 3 biggest big cinema films in that list? They're Titanic. But, oh, God.
I'm thinking there's some... Right. I was wanting some big cinema because I'm interested.
Yeah, we've watched a couple of indies now. I think it's time to watch some big cinema. Right, so Jurassic Park. Then it's... What was the second one again?
Jurassic Park. Then it was Goodfellas. Then it was The Dark Knight.
Oh, right. Well. Oh, God, this is hard. Because, right, The Dark Knight is the film that got me into making film.
Ooh, I mean...
Yeah, but it also means that I've watched it so many times, and I try to be very, very careful when I pick to watch it, but oh god, it's just so good.
It could be purpose, we could literally look deep into it. I mean, I'm not trying to influence any decisions.
No, okay, I've got it, because I think I've always loved the film, I've watched it loads, and I've always had loads of things to say about it, I've never had an outlet to say it, so I'm going to say Dark Knight. So guys, if you tune in next time, you're going to just basically hear 20 minutes of 2 white guys just jacking off Chris Nolan.
All over my face, baby. Yeah.
I think we'll have some interesting things to say, and I'm sure we'll bring some controversial topics.
Looking at Heath Ledger's role in how it affected him and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm interested to talk about a few things in that film. And
yeah, I mean, I do know some things why it's influential, but not the full story, so a bit of research is going to be fantastic. So yeah, this has been Hi Lazaretto, back again for the weekly podcast.
Yes, we'll be rolling them out a bit quicker now.
Yeah, of course. We're trying to keep a 9 till 5 strict Monday to Friday workload, aren't we?
Party on the weekends,
yeah, of course.
We're a bit loose here.
Yeah, I know, because we're working hard at this during this lockdown. That's what's happening here. But no, this has been Hi Lazaretto. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with us? Disagree? Did you love the film? Did you hate the film? You guys are the best. And this has been The Gentleman.
And it's been Papa Smoke again.
And we'll see you
in a little while, crocodile.
See you later, alligator.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What?
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.